like about anime is that a lot of times the medium doesn't shy away from showing those realities and possible consequences, or lack there of those. Also, while the forgiveness Aesop is often in a lot of anime, often in battle shonen, we also see some key moments when bullies get their comeuppance. It's a mixed bag though, all in all, and today we'll be talking about the latter. After all, while I don't promote violence, it's really more fun and satisfying to see the bullies get what's coming to them, right? That's just who a lot of us are, and these bullies do need to be taught a lesson sometimes, you know. So strap yourselves in, come with me on a ride that features anime bullies, whether the schoolyard type or ones outside school settings, get their comeuppance. Now let's be honest, haven't you had that time when you wanted to strike back at bullies or people who look down at you? Shigaraki in his younger years took matters in his own hands, and he made those thugs pay in a show that would have any kid drunk with power. It's these moments that are both sad and gratifying. No way should those thugs be allowed to go scot-free with their bullying, but this way of Shigaraki following his heart soon leads him down to the path of villainy. It's truly a tough dilemma if you ask me. The weak Shigaraki has been extinguished and the future symbol of fear was born in this very moment. It's a chilling moment for two very contrasting reasons. Conflicting feelings on this one, but it's something that drives so close to home. Ironically, I don't see a silent voice in a lot of discussion about bullies getting their comeuppance because it's an entire movie devoted to the bullying. Oftentimes, I see a lot of the community talk about bullies getting their comeuppance, and of all those times, this is the first anime I immediately think of. Needless to say, our protagonist Shoya gets the worst of it. He's definitely not the only one at fault for shock or transferring schools, but he's the one who gets the full brunt of the backlash resulting from it, causing his life to go on a downward spiral. Shoya getting what he deserved was the impetus to get the plot going and set him on his course to redemption. A Silent Voice, by all means, is a beautiful story about human nature, forgiveness, and turning a new leaf, and it won't ever be possible if Shoya didn't get this. On the other hand, I feel that the other classmates got away scot-free for my liking. Yeah, they all suffered in their own ways in the movie to varying degrees, but how fate and karma hit them back just doesn't compare to what Shoya had to go through. Maybe that's why A Silent Voice doesn't get talked about too often in the topic of bullying. It's a movie instead of a series, and the other bullies don't suffer nearly enough to pay for their past behavior. 石田翔也ってやつに近づかない方がいいぜ。あいついじめっ子だから。この世界に非行者は2人もいらない。着想ゲールスラッシャー。 Let's continue with a light novel adaptation with Accel World. Now, with a fatty like that as a protagonist, we all know it's coming sooner or later, don't we? Ironically enough, the moment that I'll be talking about comes at the final arc of the anime adaptation. Yeah, Haruyuki had experienced a lot of crap with bullying and being shunned prior to this, but it was Naomi Seiji who took things to another level, even involving Haru's two friends in this crap. Manipulation, rumor spreading, blackmail, some NTR vibes. Naomi is pretty much the epitome of a hate sink if you've seen one. He's rightfully hated by so many people who've watched this anime, but that's what makes his eventual demise look oh so satisfying. Even his supposed sad backstory doesn't change anything, not when he spends an entire arc gloating about stealing the protagonist's powers, turning their girl into his side, and bragging about all that he can do with his powers. Accel World is one of the first video game series I've been very immersed in, and at that point, I never felt as much catharsis as seeing Chiyu pull the reverse Uno card and reveal that she's been the one playing all the time just to leech off his skills before turning back to the good guy's side. The whole arc makes seeing Naomi's final groveling form so satisfying just before he's executed and exiled from the game for good. Tokyo Revengers is a curious case. While I'd consider Kiyomasa's faction bullies in the pure sense of the word, that's all to the expectation of them being, you know, thugs running a fight club. That's in contrast to the previous examples who are all students that you shouldn't have the expectations of being such big assholes. Regardless, the starting arc of Tokyo Revengers really left a bad impression on me thanks to Takemichi's treatment. It's not a bad impression in a sense of me disliking the show, but a bad impression in a sense that I really wanted Kiyomasa to get beat. And Takemichi just tried that in a cliffhanger and that had me oh so hyped. It's the classic underdog finally rises up against the bully story. Turns out it's not our protagonist who gets the finishing blow, but the dynamic duo of Draken and Mikey. It feels oh so great to see this scrub get put in his place by the real head honchos, and it must have been really humiliating for someone like him who talks too big. It must have felt like a kick to the balls for Kiyomasa, and I mean that quite literally.
長男の名前を落とすような真似すんなよ。
竹ビッチ。あ、またね。
And yes, the famous Elfen lead scene. It's a scene that's not for the faint of heart, not just because of the violence, but because of the people involved. For the entries that I've listed so far, the perpetrators are either teenagers who mostly ran their mouth and beat people up, or kids with pranks gone horribly wrong. However, none of them come as close to the heartlessness as these people from Elfen lead. And they're kids, for God's sakes, 11-year-olds. I don't think the kid versions of the silent voice protagonists would be as heartless as outright beating Lucy's only friend, a dog, to death in front of her. It's a level of graphic violence that could have been laughed at as an attempt at being edgy, but that scene legitimately pissed quite a few viewers off, including me. So to no one's surprise, no one shed a tear when Lucy unleashed her powers and just massacred those bullies. People say that violence is never the answer, and while I'd personally prefer a world without conflict, you can't help it when bullied kids strike back. And it's sad to say, in the real world, fighting back, often in rather violent ways, is also the only way to stop the whole bullying things a lot of times, realistically speaking. Next is Fruits Basket.
魔女が来たぞ。なんか言えよ魔女。
I'll tell you a mildly interesting thing about Fruits Basket, one of the most beloved shoujo series of all time. If you go on YouTube and type in Fruits Basket, one of the first suggestions you'll get is Fruits Basket bully scene. I guess that's just how big of a moment this is for fans of the show, and I'm sure a lot of them get a kick out of watching the whole thing unfold. And I don't blame them in the slightest. Episode 22 of the 2019 remake is a roller coaster of emotions. Seeing Saki's entire backstory unfold just gives us a glimpse of how sick some children really are. I wouldn't be surprised to know of people who found the live newt scene extremely revolting. The fiasco's not to the brutal extent of the Elfen lead one a while ago, but it is just as bad. The sad thing is that I believe that something like this does happen in a lot of schools in real life. That's why I couldn't care less about the boys when Saki unleashes her powers on them in a fit of rage. She even tries holding herself back while doing it. The sad part of this is that she's the one whose life took a downturn after the incident, and she even gets worse over time when it comes to the bullies. On a positive note though, I think that the whole chain of experiences makes her eventual friendship with Toru and Arisa all the more heartwarming.
Shh! お前、その目はなんだい?
It's no surprise that One Piece will be in such a personalized list, being one of my favorite series of all time. Any guesses as to what moment made the list? Why, the punch that was heard all over the world, of course. I like One Piece not just for the action and the adventure, the wacky powers and the world building, but also for the themes. These include the idealistic ones like friendship, as well as the more serious stuff that can apply to the real world like racism. Mind you, it's not a trait that's exclusive to this beloved shonen series, but it sure does well in presenting those themes using its extremely colourful world. Such as this incident with Luffy punching out the celestial dragon. It's pretty much one of the textbook examples of racism and bullying on display, and it even took place at a grand stage of an auction. Seeing Luffy stick up for his buddy and not care about the ramifications is a thing of beauty. It takes real guts to do that. Not even the celestial dragon's status spared him from this beatdown. Good for him though, he deserved it. That's my personal list of favourite scenes of bullies getting what they deserved in anime. I'm sure you've got a lot more to add to this list, so I'd like to hear your input on both the picks I made and the scenes themselves. If you enjoyed watching the video and would like to support the channel, don't forget to check out the channel's membership options. You can gain access to even more videos that way. You can also support me on Patreon, and it will help me come up with even better production quality on these videos as we start moving towards the channel's next big milestone. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you had a lot of fun. I wish to see you again on my next video, so see you then.